So to repeat for people who are watching us through the live stream, we had a quick announcement that lobby room support is in progress. Sorry, is about to be deployed. It will only work on web and mobile for starters. Support for telephony participants will land later on. Jonathan just gave a brief update as well on the fact that he's working on GCM support and VP9 work is still ongoing. Yep, that's those are the major things. Would anyone else from the team like to do any update?
Yes, so from the performance work, we did a few tweaks there and added options to make tweaking more configurable, like for example, limits for last n, so you can specify what last n value you want to have for given number of participants. Another option was added to control in the tile view based on the tile height what resolution will be requested and when, and by default we made it harder to request 360p or 720. Before that it was somewhere in the middle between 360 and 720 where it would switch to the higher resolution, but right now by default it will switch only once the actual 720 height is reached. The same for 360, that's for the tile view. Also there was a change, a feature which landed in libjitsi. It didn't land yet in mid-Jitsi, where the client is going to stop sending video if the bridge asks it to, which means that nobody is watching this user, then it will stop. That's implemented only for Chrome and Safari for now, because React and Unified, not Unified, with Firefox, they are more tricky. And that's from me. Then also Jaya was doing a few things. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So we were trying to see if enabling P2P on enabling 264 H264 codec on P2P connections was giving us better performance CPU wise. So we found it actually that it's better. So we are planning to enable it, and I did some refactoring around setting codec preferences. So we've added a generic video quality setting option called preferred codec and disabled codec, so that you can play with what codecs you want to enable on the P2P and JVP connections. And then we've been playing with implementing different bit rates. So both on JVB and P2P connections, now you could actually set max bit rates for each resolution, like low definition, standard, and high definition. So you could optimize it for your own deployment. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Jaya and Pavel. I guess at this point we can, anyone else from the team actually?
I just wanted to mention something quickly, which is that there used to be a bug where conference names with more than one slash characters were incorrectly handled. So if you had a conference name of A/B/C/D, this would actually send you to the room C/D, which is not intended. And as a quick fix, because a proper solution of handling more than one slash involves a lot of backend changes that we could not do quickly, we disallowed using more than one slash in the name. So if you go to A/B/C/D right now, you will hit a 404. And the reason is that there's more than one slash. So please use names without more than one slash. If you need a separator, you can use a dash or underscore or dot or anything.
Thank you, Boris. At this point, we're going to open the microphone to anyone here who has any questions or comments.
Hi, this is Paul. How's everybody doing? I have a quick question about Opus RTP. Opus Red. So I saw a PR that Boris you worked on for Opus Red. So my understanding is that this is seeing the WebRTC Hex article that this requires a field trial, I think. My question is just what else would we need to do are there other parts of that are required to be able to test that out?
Yeah, this is only the client support. We still need the SFU support.
We still need, still need what?
This is only the client support. We still need the SFU support. That's in progress.
SFU support, okay, great. Is that something that is being worked on now, or is that what's required for that on the SFU side?
We need to complete the work. We'll let everyone know when it's ready.
Okay, great.
It should be ready for testing very shortly.
Very exciting. And the trial probably still will take. I think it's slated for Chrome 84 or something. Is that? Do I remember that correctly?
I don't know.
Oh no, yeah, I guess not. Or okay, I guess it's in Chrome 84 as a field trial. But okay, great.
I'm not sure where the oldest version that is available in. It's definitely available in 86.
Okay, cool. Great to know. Thanks.
Other questions?
Hey there, John here.
Hi, John.
Hi. So we are working on a project in which we'll integrate the Jitsi into our own application, and we would like to authorize and authenticate users that can join Jitsi conference through our application. What is your suggestion or recommendation on how we could accomplish that?
Are you talking about authenticating people who? So you're talking about your own deployment?
No, I mean deployments are our own, but I'm talking more about authorizing who is able to start a conference, who is able to join the conference, and then who can be the moderator inside of it.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was just trying to understand whether you're talking about using essentially me, Jitsi at the back end, or deployment of your own, because the answer would be different in both of these cases. So the way we do that for 8x8 apps is by using the JWT token and validating it on the Prosody level, which gives you access control. We also have so essentially you could very well configure your Prosody server to reject JWT tokens that are invalid or requests without a JWT token. Right? Does that make sense so far?
That makes sense.
Then we also have modules in Prosody that would, based on the JWT token, they would go and verify the role of the person coming in, and they would give them moderator status or not. And all of it is just additional, Lua work and additional modules that run on Prosody. That's how we solve that problem.
Oh, perfect. And then the ACLs are also set through those Lua, basically plugins for Prosody, or is there something else in place?
Well, it's not exactly ACLs, right? It's just logic in the Lua code. So essentially, you go into the Xmpp server, you have a JWT token of some sort, and there's Lua code there that captures the token and decides whether to let you continue or not, right? And it could be based on an ACL, it could be based on the validity of the token, it could be based on anything. But if you had an ACL, that's where you would put it.
I
Now you
see.
have other options to do it too, with things like Xmpp authentication. But those are, you might be able to start more easily with them, but they would lock you in a specific pattern, right? It'll be about room creation rather than room joining. So you'd have to have, actually, more specifically, they would put you within the rails of what you can do with XMPP, right? So it's like whatever you can configure your XMPP server to do, that's what you'd be able to do if you go down the XMPP authentication path. So yeah, that's another option.
And so basically, if we would want to even write our own Lua plugin and handle this in a very specific way, that's also an option then, as well as.
Oh yeah, that's what we do, right? So that's the path that we chose. So yes, it's a legitimate path.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's really answering
My pleasure, John.
question. Thank you.
Hello.
Anyone else? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Abraham here.
Hey, Abe.
We are working also with a Kubernetes installation. So the question that we have is, right now our Kubernetes installation runs in Amazon, and it has nodes that are volatile. That means they can live for 2 hours or 2 months. We don't know. And the Kubernetes it's working okay with that. And we have video bridges that are also working the same way. However, we have a problem with prosody and Jitsi, that every time that the node where they are running restarts, then all the conference gets reloaded. Do you have any suggestion on how to do auto scaling for prosody and Jitsi, and how to configure them in a Kubernetes environment?
Not really. That's
that
is the okay. Go ahead,
I
Jacob.
have a quick answer that's I'd say it's untested, but you may go down this path if you want for your own discovery and stuff. You can run an HA proxy in front, so you can run multiple of the prosody servers, and you can run an HA proxy in front that basically looks at the meeting path and then pins it to one or the other. And you would need to expose the prosody server as there's a special name for it, but basically so that it has the same IP address all the time. Basically so that you can configure prosody 1 has this IP address, prosody 2 has this IP address and port within, and it's a different type of service exposure. So you can look at that. So running HA proxy in front, HA proxy would then be exposed to the internet, and then HA proxy would then route to all the various number. And that would just give you, that only works with a certain set number of prosody servers. It's a headless service. That's what it's called. So you could run prosody as a headless service in Kubernetes and then HA proxy in front. We've done that experimental, but we don't run it in production or anything like that. So.
Okay. Thank you. And regarding that, just in the experiment, how are you managing, for example, the creation of users? Just like I think John asked, we also have a similar use case where we created users in prosody. But if you have 2 instances of prosody, how they communicate with each other? Or you didn't do that well?
So again, you have these 2 options. Either you're going with the XMPP authentication model, which is what you're describing, and then I would suspect you just have to have a shared resource for the users if that's what you're doing, and maybe someone else here, Damien, maybe be able to comment on how to do that. I don't know. That might actually be a better question for the prosody community. But what I was telling John is that the way that we solve this is actually entirely owning the authentication part through a JWT token validation mechanism. Right? I don't know, Damien, do you have anything off the top of your head there on how to have multiple prosody servers access the same user base?
Well, the username and passwords, they're just files. So if they share the same file, that's an option, I think. Other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah, there might be a way to specify a database connection, maybe, I would think. So the file is just one way of storing users and passwords, but you can configure in Proso the actual different storage for users.
Yes, that's true. A different, yeah. It can even be a webhook or something. So there are multiple options in that direction. Yes, thanks, Pavel.
Okay, yeah, that is really helpful. Okay, well, I think that's it for me. Thank you so much, guys, for all your work. It is really good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Abe. Any other questions?
Yeah, it's CJ. I've
Hi,
noticed the performance has gotten a lot better over the past month. I think you've been doing good work.
Thank you for noticing.
A month ago or so, I tested sharing a video in a Chromium tab, and it didn't work so well. Should I try again, or?
Well, if by it didn't work so well, you mean it had a low frame rate, then wait, actually, how were you sharing the video in a Chromium tab? Was it like a screen sharing thing, or?
Yeah, I shared a screen with a link to a local MP4 video.
Right, but the video was rendering on your machine, and then you were screen sharing to other people's machine.
Yes.
Through the conference. Okay, yeah, that will always produce a low frame rate. Like that's the WebRTC screen sharing is not really, optimized for, and the way that we configure it, for that matter, it is not really optimized for high frame. I actually, now that I'm wondering, Jaya, is Jaya on the call?
Yeah.
Is there a way to override that with config options in the URL when you're joining?
Yeah, there is an option, screen share frame rate. I can actually, maybe paste it in the chat. Yeah, we can specify the min and the max frame rates.
So CJ, that might be your way out of this.
The audio was also very laggy.
So in the past, we had some issues with audio related to insertable streams. Maybe it was the time when you were trying. If you try it again, it may be better now.
Okay, I posted it in chat. I'm organizing a testing call tonight. I will be testing it tonight.
Well, let us know how it went.
Will do.
Watch out for the parameters from Jaya, because those would likely be very helpful to you as well.
Okay, I will look for that. Thank you.
I have a question for you. You said about the testing event tonight, but I couldn't see anything about the URL that you were going to use for that.
Yeah, I've got it in a meetup. I didn't want to make it fully public.
Yeah,
if
I
you,
but I didn't see anything. Oh, okay. Online event. I see it now. Sorry. I think.
Okay.
Well, I have a question. It's Peter.
Go for it, Peter.
And it's a question I've had a long time ago. I've also put it into the community, and so far I still haven't had an answer, or maybe it hasn't been a possibility yet. Quite some time ago, we were successful in being able to embed meet.jitsi into our system, meetmedhere.com, and so that we've been able to add the participant's first name and then in brackets, comma, username to show up in the little box in Jitsi when they're on the call. So we can see the first name and username for every person who's in the grid, So that's great. But And then we have a box underneath where if somebody manually has to now type in the username in order to find out something about them, you know, on their profile and so forth. It would be great if there was an API that could extract the username that we have in Jitsi and send it to us so that we can then do the rest, you know, in terms of showing the mini profile for that person. Has any work been done on that, or is anything planned?
I'm afraid not, Peter.
So that we don't have to manually, you know, ask our users to just manually type that username in that they see on the screen?
Oh, well, you could pass that as part of the JWT token, and you know, you can configure the entire username as part of the JWT token, whatever it contains. That's how we usually handle that. But it sounded like you also wanted things to display differently, which is the part that I was reacting to. Like that we haven't.
All we need is the username that is be able to so when somebody clicks, let's say, on the username that they see on the picture in Jitsi, or maybe some other place in the box that you know, if we can somehow receive the username that is written there.
You mean oh, you want to send it back through an event, back to the? Oh, I see.
So I mean, we've been able to display it, you know, in the tiles.
I get it. I get it.
But we don't have a way of now making it a simple click to send it back.
You should be. So you're selecting the user and putting them on stage, right? That's what happens. And you'd like to have an event for this specific user went on stage, and you'd like to be able to match that to the user in your system. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, we've already got it. So right now, when you let's say mouse over a username, you might see you know, John Smith or something. Well, it would be great if you could just click on John Smith and then it opens up their mini profile, which, you know, we can handle at our end. But right now, somebody has to actually write John Smith in the box on our end, you know, in order to see the mini profile. To do that, it would be great if we could just simply have a UI that sends that username to us, whatever happens to be written there.
I don't think we have exactly what you need.
Or there could be somewhere in the box, you know, like where it just says profile or something like that, or it could be optional, like if somebody does have a profile, or somewhere to send that username.
Right, we don't have anything like that planned.
Is it something that, yeah, if I have a developer that can work on that part, like, is there a way that somebody could guide them to adding that? So I think there would be a very powerful feature for everyone, you know, like whoever wants to have some other application.
Yeah, I think we'd need to potentially that would be the way to do it. We just I'm not sure I fully grasp the scenario here, so we could have a discussion about that. Could you please paste the link where you did that on community, or start a thread there if you haven't already, and then I could try to wrap my hand around that and try to emit a product opinion as to whether or not this is something we would take as a contribution.
Now the ticket number or the link to where I've listed it into the community, you know, I haven't had a response yet. I know last time Aaron said he had some interest in looking at this, but so I'll write it in there right now.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Ezekiel. Can I ask a question?
Of course, Ezekiel, go for it.
Thank you. So we have a use case where my participants would like to be unmuted by the host. I understand that currently that is not possible, and I saw out there that you can modify the code of Chikofo to allow that. But I was wondering, what are your thoughts about adding something like a confirmation that the participants would accept and wants to be unmuted by the host or by the moderator, and then later then the moderator could just unmute them. Would that be something possible?
Are you talking about hard muting?
Yeah.
So you want the moderator to be able to mute people without them having the option to unmute themselves. Is that what you're describing?
So in my case, I would still like my participants to be able to do that on their own, to mute and unmute, but I would like also the moderator to do that during the conference to mute or unmute them.
So the moderator can already mute them, right?
Yeah.
What it cannot do is unmute them.
Right.
And what we will be adding soon, although it might not be enabled in Jitsi because there are challenges with identification. It could be, it would likely be present in the code though. So what we will have is give the option for people to do hard moderation. So people cannot unmute themselves without permission from the host, from someone actually, not the host, but from a moderator. I don't know whether this would be exactly what you need, because it sounds like, so what we do want to avoid is I'm sitting there, I'm in a call, I'm not looking at the screen, and all of a sudden my microphone is active, right? That is a no-no. So there would be a middle ground between, let's say I'd like to speak, I try to unmute, this generates a notification for the moderator who ends up unmuting me, and then I can speak. That's how it would work. It would be in the Jitsi code. We will have that feature on 8x8 VC, but it's not going to be possible on Meet Jitsi simply because everyone's a moderator there. So that really doesn't make sense.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much for the explanation. In our use case, we have our own deployment and our own front end that uses libjitsi meet. And in our case, our terms of use, we have the possibility of the moderator to unmute if the participant wants, if he sends a confirmation. So that's what we wanted to do, like being something optional to make the meeting faster in the conference, that the moderator just unmutes. But yes, I understand what you mean.
Well, if you're using libjitsi meet, I would say this would be very, very easy for you to add, right? You essentially just need to add a message, send a message through the data channel, and get the receiving client to act on this. So I'd say you have the option to absolutely build that today.
Good. Yeah. See, that's an option. And based on that, using the message, is it possible to know if the message came from a moderator, to know that it's a secure message, something like that?
Sure. You can verify the moderator status of everyone in the multi-user chat in the XMPP MOOC. So
okay.
You have that option.
Very good. Yeah, it's an excellent idea. Thank you so much. This really helped us. Thank you.
Glad to hear that. Anyone else?
Hi everyone. I pray everyone is safe and healthy. Yeah, I have one question that I'm trying to install. Yeah, I'm trying to install Jitsi Meet where I can access it from my LAN as well as from a public IP. I've been struggling for this configuration for quite a long time. So I know this might be a silly question to all of you experts over there, but still, I had the courage. I gathered all my courage to ask in this forum. Yeah, thank you.
No, of course you're welcome. You usually come with much better audio, though. I'm not sure what's going on now. I hope you hear me well. So what's going? So let me try and make sure you understand. You deploy your servers, your Jitsi video bridges, in a private network that sits behind a NAT. You have some of the clients on the same NAT network, so you want them to be able to access the video bridge. And additionally, you also have some sort of mapping on your NAT that allows for external parties to also join and connect to the bridge. Is that correct so far?
Yes, sir.
And
Absolutely
what is
correct.
the problem?
Just getting the screen, the gray screen, but I'm not able to switch on my camera as well as my mic when I'm accessing it from the public IP.
Oh, that sounds like an HTTPS problem. It sounds like you might just not be having a valid cert through that IP address.
Yes, I was trying to install that Let's Encrypt certificate, but with no success.
Yeah, I think this could be just an artifact of how Let's Encrypt works and how it verifies domains. You might want to try with the regular certificate and see if that changes things. But let me ask this to make sure that this really is an HTTPS problem. It's like you are you able to actually see that like Chrome has a secure HTTPS connection, or does that work? Sorry, did you answer or would you?
I have not tried that by accessing, looking at the Chrome browser and seeing what are the various logs it is generating.
Yeah, so WebRTC will not work on HTTP. It will not let you access devices from HTTP. So I would start there.
Okay,
now
so
yeah.
So as you suggest, I will go for a valid certificate and install it so that the people from they can access it through the public IP, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the problem. That's just one theory. Obviously, the other could be that it's purely a connectivity problem. And that's why I would start. Do you have a valid HTTPS connection or not? If you don't, then solve that problem first. And then look at what happens. And it could still very well be that there's something wrong with the mapping or the way that Jitsi Video Bridge has to be aware of all the addresses. Yes, Jitsi Video Bridge absolutely can work in a situation with multiple interfaces or multiple addresses. And right, Brian, I see you nodding. I don't know if it's intentional or okay. So it can work in that situation. And now I just have to find out why it isn't, and you could start with the HTTPS thing.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Hi, my name is Fabio.
Hi, Fabio.
When we are using a JWT authorization, how can we prevent a kicked user to return to the conference? Because in that case, his JWT authorization is still valid.
Well, that's a complex question. So it would be, you are that JWT token probably corresponds to some identity, right? So you could just say that you blacklist certain identities from joining certain screens. You could say that that you could have that logic implemented in the validation module that validates the token. And you can say, okay, every time I kick someone, I'm going to add Lua code that adds that person to a blacklist for that room. And then on their way back, you could have the validation code go and check that the rooms that are currently blacklisting specific people. So you could go in and try that. It will be something along those lines. You cannot do this without coding. If that was the question, you're going to have to modify the logic in these modules.
Okay, but if we create some Lua plugin to handle that, is it a good approach? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would. I mean, there's a whole product discussion to be had there about what the right way to be is, and you might actually even say that, well, look, this isn't necessary. As long as you enable lobby, that might be enough. Because if the kicked person, like all you need to do is to get them to go through the lobby again, and then the moderator would just not let them in a second time, right? You might not need to, so I'm actually contradicting myself. You might not actually need to add additional code if you have the lobby on, right?
Okay, makes sense. Okay, no, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. Other questions? Okay, well, this has been a great call. Thank you everyone for stopping by, and see you again in 2 weeks.